All right.
The lavender vanilla. I'm sorry. Hello, this is me. I saw this at Meijer at the supermarket.
Yeah.
The little pods. And I'm like, ooh, I love it. I don't have to put any creamer in it.
Nice.
Even it's so good. Deborah, are you a coffee drinker?
I'm a coffee drinker, but I'm not exactly a purist, but it's like a strong coffee with a tiny drop of milk. So I don't want the flavors and the yeah.
You like coffee flavored coffee.
And I can't do caffeine anymore, so it's always decaf now.
Oh, then never mind.
Just sad.
That happened. That was a midlife thing.
I'm so all of a sudden terrified.
I would switch to the mushroom coffee then, because there's no point.
Right. Well, yeah. See, I just love the taste of coffee, so it's like every once in a while I have a decaf, and that satisfies that. But yes, I suddenly was unable to have any caffeine.
Ugh.
That terrifies me.
I can't have that.
Well, I don't know anybody else that happened to.
Oh, I know.
Paige.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah, Paige is one.
We have a friend, Paige, who that happened to. So you're the second person. So I'm like,
I know several, and I'm like,
you do? Oh, that's interesting. I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so I guess maybe it's not
all the things that we have to knock off the list. Not fair.
That is not fair. A good cup of coffee, or any kind of caffeine. All right. So anyway, sorry. This is what we do.
It is
my fault.
It's okay. No, it's all fine. It's all good.
I love it. She's like, you guys are lunatics.
She did have a little clue in since she watched one of our podcasts.
I watched. I know what I'm getting into, and we met. Like, it's all good.
It's all good.
We haven't scared her yet.
No, not yet.
Hello and welcome to Smiling Souls. This is Stephanie Keenan Ray and Wendy T.
Hello. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I said, how you doing?
Oh, well, as per usual, I'm all over the place.
All right. And today we have our friend Deborah with us. I am doing well. I feel accomplished because I went to the grocery store today before the podcast. So
that is impressive.
I got the necessary things done. I still have a few more things I have to do, but afterwards it'll be very like, this is my time now. So that makes me feel good.
Yes.
That is impressive. Grocery shopping early in the morning. I like it.
And I only cursed in my head at like 3 people instead of like 1,000. So
really?
Yeah.
So maybe the morning is a good time for you.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. There were not nearly as many annoying people in the market at that hour. And there was definitely a dude who saw one of my curses in my head because he was like, he kind of giggled at me because he knew exactly what was going on in my head. And
okay, hang on. So, curses are like a mirror. They like, you send a curse to someone and it bounces right back to you.
Oh, not a real curse. Like saying a curse word, like.
Right. Fuck. Yeah. So now we have to mark this explicit.
Yes, we do.
I'm sure there's going to be.
You can beep it out.
But like, just send them love and light, right? Mm-hmm. Love and light. Just aren't you just the cutest thing?
Right? Yes, I have now learned that when you're like, oh, aren't I so cute? So if you ever say that to me, I'll know that you're being like, fucking.
No, I would not. I would just tell you. No, but like this is what I have learned. Even when you're like, oh my goodness, this person, right? It just bounces right back to you. And so I send them love and light.
I know, but there are days when your patience runs so thin that you just want to murder people. And all you can do is curse in your head and try to go around them.
This is taking
a turn in the grocery store.
And I'm gonna jump in here and say that you can, whatever you're saying or you're thinking in your head, if there's a layer underneath that is truer than the thing that you're making yourself think or say, that's what you're putting out. That's the energy you're putting out. Yeah. So it's about, your whole mental atmosphere has to be full of either the light and love or the cursing. And if the cursing is where you are, you got to get that out, even if it's just in your head, and work that through to get to the love and light. Like, you can't pretend it away.
I will say I was singing along to all the songs on the radio.
Aren't
I
they the
am that
best?
person in the grocery store that sings
They-
out loud to
I
all the
mean,
songs.
There's
And
some
so
good
I was like
songs.
happily doing my
Yeah.
grocery shopping. It's just there would be a couple people that just like to just stop in the aisle.
Oh,
Or there'd
okay.
be
Now
the
hang on.
traffic jams where like you can
Hang on.
clearly see the guy is stalking and he's taking up half the aisle and I'm coming one way and you're coming the other way and you decide to come through but then stop rather
Okay.
than pull over like a polite individual. You know.
Now
Stuff
hang
like
on.
that.
Hang on. Because we were in Costco, surprise, surprise,
Mm.
right? And we turned a corner. And as soon as we turned the corner, I stopped to look at something in the case, and some woman came right behind me, almost ran into me.
Oh, fun.
And I hear, and I turned around and I looked at her and I go, "Are you all right?" And she just kind of stormed off. But I was just like,
She was mad that you were there
that I
ahead of
stopped.
time,
That you were shopping.
that you were
She was
shopping.
mad that I was
See, I'm
shopping.
not that person. I'm not mad that the people. It's when like there was this one point where guys stalking, taking up half the aisle, and I see this older lady who's coming down the aisle. She
Mhm.
clearly wants to come through, so I'm waiting for her to come through because there's not room for two people.
Right.
I'm waiting for her to come through, giving her room to come through and come around
Right.
me because I am gonna
'Cause you're
go
paying
the same
attention.
way she is coming towards.
Right.
And this dude just comes and gets in between the two of us. So nobody can go anywhere. And I was just like, I hope they don't drive like this. That's all. Yeah.
They probably do.
Yeah.
Well,
Especially the old
Massachusetts
lady.
isn't there a sort of, or is that just Boston, the reputation for bad driving?
Oh, is it?
We are called massholes. Not that it's not that we are bad drivers.
I didn't know that.
We get a little feisty. That's all.
Yeah.
Huh.
This anger for the grocery store happens a lot of times on the road. I don't do that on the road. On the road, I put my tunes on, I'm chill, and I look out for the idiots.
Okay. One more thing.
Yes.
Don't you love it when someone like angrily passes you because apparently you're going too slow? Might be me. And you get to the light, right? At the same time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And they're sitting there and you roll up. I'm always like, hey.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're really in a super rush. I'm glad you got there like before
That's
me.
what has happened. The number of times I've said in my head, wow, you're really in a rush to get to that red light.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Like if there's no red lights, like you're on the highway or whatever. Yeah, I get it. Like you're gonna go way ahead of me, but when you know that there's like 6 red lights ahead of us, what's the point?
I'm always like, wow, they must really have to poop.
Well, that's a good thought.
You
That's a
never
good
know.
thought. That's a good way to think about it.
Mhm.
I mean, honestly, we don't know why they're in such a
Yeah,
rush.
we don't know
what's going on.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And like if you think of like when you were younger, probably full of hormones, whether you're a boy or a girl, you're like, yeah, because you just
The
you have the
hormones.
freedom of driving and you are full of hormones that make you stupid. So
Hormones. They affect us the entire
they do
The
all just
planet.
very different
Mhm.
ways.
Oh, yeah. And so we might get deeper into that today, but and
Should we move on?
pull a card? There we go. We're sharing the same brain.
We do. Y'all know that by now.
Exactly. So I'm going to ask our guest and then I will introduce Deborah. But we're going to pull a card for Deborah. And so Deborah, I'm going to shuffle and you just tell me when to stop.
Okay. Stop.
Bottom, top.
Top.
Ooh, that's beautiful. I can't read
Encourage
it.
a welcoming heart.
Okay. And
That is
underneath it,
so
it says,
cool.
be receptive to unexpected blessings. Oh, that's beautiful. I will read
That's a good one.
really quickly the description, or whatever you want to call it, in my little booklet thing. Okay. Encourage a welcoming heart. An open heart allows new energy and possibility to enter your life. This can be challenging when you aren't feeling your best, especially after a setback. Do small things to shift your energy so feelings of openness can return. Light a candle, listen to some of your favorite music. If you are able, get fresh flowers. Rochelle got the 3 bunches, right? Even better, spend time in the fresh air to clear and open your heart. Envision your heart open, willing to receive, and grateful for the blessings in your life. Plan an evening to catch up with your friends. You may have disengaged from others. Sharing time or a meal filled with conversation and laughter will help you feel connected, supported, loved, and needed. Relationships with others can provide a sense of purpose, belonging, and give you something to look forward to. Okay. The pineapple is a time-honored expression of hospitality and welcoming to others. It may also symbolize bounty and graciousness and act as a token of friendship or community kindness. This card is a gentle reminder that you have caring people in your life who would love to see you. It is easy to withdraw when things aren't at their best. So, Deborah, that is your card.
Oh, I love it. Yes, and I can apply it to a lot of things going on in my life right now. So thank you for that. That's
you're
awesome.
So welcome. You're so welcome. Steph, you want to read what
So
you pulled?
I pulled teaching and learning.
Oh, how perfect.
Yes.
Okay.
It is Archangel Zedekiel. It says, keep an open mind and learn new ideas, then teach these ideas to others. You are a spiritual teacher and an avid learner. Learning and teaching are linked in a perfect cycle in which information comes to you when you need it. Teach others about the topics that awaken your passions. The more you teach, the more your lessons are reinforced within yourself. Be open to sharing new ideas and learning about topics that aren't in your immediate sphere of interest. Your students will teach you in many ways too. Trust in your teaching and learning abilities as your mind is one with the divine mind of God. You are an intelligent and wise being, knowing that it's safe in this lifetime for you to be outspoken in your teachings. Working with Zedekiel. In the ultimate spirit, Zedekiel is the ultimate spiritual professor. He's patient, kind, and has access to knowledge. He's widely known for his ability to help human memory function. If you need to remember or memorize any information, ask Zedekiel to assist. Anything that you need to know, Zedekiel is glad to teach you. Just ask him questions in order to elicit his help. Sometimes Zedekiel uses the Socratic method of teaching, which means he'll lead you so you can learn for yourself. Being observant of patterns in everything you see, hear, and think is the best way to benefit from Zedekiel's teachings. And that makes me laugh because, one, I've never gotten this card. And
Really?
which is hilarious. I mean, first off, if I think about my strengths, I'm a total learner. Like that is
100%.
Yeah, I'm the dork. And a happy dork, proud dork.
Okay.
Total learner. But also I've been saying to myself, I'm gonna start recording YouTube videos about like my oils and my other stuff and all the things to be teaching because that's what I like to do. Gonna get doing on that because Zedekiel told me I have to. So
you really should.
Yeah. Besides, I have Jen B kicking my butt and she's gonna get me there too. So you know.
And now that we know that, guess what? Hey, Steph, how are those YouTube videos coming? Right, Deborah?
Yeah, accountability, very important.
I guess I'll be recording one before Gabriel gets home from school tonight.
Yes, you will. Okay, so finally, I chose for myself this morning, choose peace. Be responsible for your serenity. Okay, enjoying routine activities can be a way to achieve mental sanctuary. People have different activities to help them feel calm. It's time to discover the path to your inner peace. Practice settling your mind and disconnecting from chaos and endless mental chatter to help you feel centered. Any chore from washing dishes to sweeping the floor can become a peaceful and meditative ritual. I love washing dishes. I don't know why. I just do. Calming activities most often bring peace-filled results into your life. You might find a book you have been wanting to read, or listen to ocean sounds or birds twittering. I love birds. I love the sound. I love watching them. Worry and stress can disrupt your peacefulness and stop you from finding harmony. Okay. And the card, a woman reaches through the flow of water toward an attainable light. Achieving peace takes awareness and work. This image represents the Hawaiian goddess Uli. So that's my card. Hi, everybody. Martha Alexander is a sponsor of the Smiling Souls podcast. Martha helps people break free from negative energies and reclaim their personal power. She is a healer and teacher who has seen firsthand how chaos, fear, and distraction can drain our energy and disconnect us from our strength. That's why she created Standing in Your Power, your real-time guide to creating positive change. This isn't just another self-help guide. It is a practical toolkit for recognizing when you're being pulled from your power in simple but profound ways to reclaim it. Drawing from her work in spiritual protection and energy healing, she has distilled essential practices into clear, actionable steps that anyone can use. Whether you're feeling overwhelmed by world events, struggling with social media, or navigating personal challenges, this guide offers real-time tools to help you stay centered and strong. You'll learn how to recognize the difference between chaos and meaningful action, practical techniques for maintaining your energy, and ways to create positive ripples of change that extend far beyond yourself. So download the free guide now at www.courageous-heart.com/standing in your power freebie, because you deserve to stand in your power today and every day. The link will be in the comments. Go ahead and grab that. I am going to introduce our guest, Deborah Donenfeld, as soon as I find the right thing here. Here we go. Okay, so Deborah Donenfeld is the owner of Photosynthesis Coaching and a life coach specializing in supporting people in midlife. Hello, viewers. You're all probably midlife who are starting over. She has been coaching for 13 years and moved into this niche when her own life was turned upside down, and she found herself in the position of navigating several big and painful changes all at once. Can anyone relate to that? Deborah coaches from the heart and compassionately helps her clients to work their edge and move through changes with grace. So it is our pleasure to welcome Deborah Donenfeld to Smiling Souls.
Thank you so much. That was lovely, and it's so nice to be here with you.
We are so excited. We've had quite the interesting conversations already.
We have.
Insane. So this is going like gangbusters. And so can you tell us, Deborah, Steph and I have talked about this, and there is going to be a podcast directly about this. But you mentioned, going through these times when you can't see what's ahead of you. Like, oh, I didn't expect for my body to change. I didn't expect for my relationship to change. I didn't expect to have to take care of my mother, father, husband, whoever. And so what are some of the things that your clients come to you for? And especially, like, here's the thing. What is it that no one tells you? What is it you feel like no one tells you going through midlife that, oh, hey, by the way, this is going to happen?
Yeah. Well, I don't think anyone tells you anything about what's going to happen, but I'm not sure if we would believe it if we were told. So what I think happens in midlife, I mean, change is hard all the time. Humans don't like change, right? And there are changes all along. When you're younger and when you're older, change is always happening. But something that happens in midlife, I think, is that you kind of settle into your life. And it may not be perfect. It may not be what you were hoping would be the end all. And maybe you think, I need to tweak this and I need to tweak that and I'm going to work on it. And then something happens that just upends it all. And you feel like the rug has been completely taken out from under you because you had decided that you were sort of settling in. And even though you were going to work on things, you weren't expecting it all to just shift like that. And I think that it's like the mindset that we come into it with in midlife makes the change especially hard. And so, yeah, it can be your body. I mean, look, it's still a problem that women's gynecologists don't actually talk to them about menopause, that a lot of them are not, they're not necessarily experts in menopause, right? Which is half of our lives we're in menopause. So it's a little strange, but I have a friend who's a gynecologist who does specialize in menopause, and she says, patients come to her and they're like, oh my God, I'm having all of these symptoms, and I went to this kind of doctor, and I went to that kind of doctor, and they can't figure it out. And she's like, well, tell me all the symptoms. Oh, that's menopause. Oh, that's menopause. That's menopause. Just stop going to all the other doctors and come tell me. Like there are so many symptoms of menopause that we don't even know are symptoms of menopause. And we hear almost in this like cliche way about the hot flashes, but we don't really hear about the rest of it. And we aren't really prepared. So that's like the physical part. And then, we're changing and evolving. And maybe our partner is changing and evolving in a completely different way, or maybe they're not changing and evolving. And so then, there's this joke. This couple goes to a couples therapist, and he says, and the husband says, she's changed. And the wife says, he hasn't changed. Like that's sort of right. That can happen.
Absolutely.
And that, especially when you have kids, like that's the last thing you want to hear, that could get upended. It's so painful and so logistically hard and leads to so many other kinds of change. So, I mean, if you're asking about my clients, I mean, they come to me when they're going through divorce or thinking about getting divorced. They come to me if they're thinking about retirement and that feels scary, or if they've lost a spouse, or if their health has shifted, or if their parents' health has shifted and they don't know how to manage it and it just feels big and overwhelming. Even moving. Like we have to move, and I thought I would stay here forever, and it's like leaving a person, right? Like there's a grief that happens. So all of those kinds of things are really hard in midlife.
Well, any point in life, but then midlife, it's like, oh man, it's like a double whammy.
It's kind of a double whammy because you do have the physical stuff going on, and especially if it's something like divorce, usually that accompanies other big changes. So then you've got multiple changes happening at once, and you've come in with that mindset of like, everything's okay. I've kind of accepted where I am and what is happening in my life, and I'm just gonna, and I have this idea of where I'm going and where I'm gonna, and the universe is like,
you're
sorry.
So cute.
That's nice that you think that it's all gonna be like unicorns and rainbows from here on out, but then you're not growing. I need to send you a little growth.
Right. Yeah. It's cute that you think that, but here you go. Oh.
Yeah. And it is hard. I mean, I don't want to make light of it. It's
oh yeah.
I mean, of course you have to laugh sometimes because but it's really, really painful and hard to go through. And
that's why folks have you. That's why your clients like come to you. That's why our clients come to Steph and to me to help them navigate that. Because we have the skills, we have the tools, and we've all been through this, right? Some kind of transformation, change. And so on that note, Deborah, you talk about, let's go to this. Women and being caregivers. You say, we're unfortunately or whatever, no judgment, but we're conditioned to be caregivers, caretakers. And you talk about when we move into the sandwich generation, it's amplified. And so there's taking care of others is the one side, but then there's also learning to take care of ourselves. And I think this is a really important element to bring out. Like, how can someone who's in this transition and it's uncomfortable and it's scary, how can they take care of themselves?
Yeah, well, it's hard. I mean, the first step is to realize that you want to. And so many people, that conditioning is so strong. I mean, I've had people say to me, yeah, I take care of everybody else. That's what I'm supposed to do. And when pushed a little bit about, do they want to take care of themselves because they're in a place of being unhappy or stressed out or whatever, overwhelmed, and they're like, no, I wouldn't do that. No, I have to take care of the people in my life. That's what I'm here for. And so the first step is realizing, that cliche about putting the oxygen mask on before you put it on your kids, right? Like you do need to, in order to be able to take care of other people effectively, you do need to take care of yourself. And what is it about this thing of we don't prioritize ourselves enough to take care of ourselves, even just as much as we take care of other people? We don't do that. And so that's the first hurdle to get over, is to acknowledging that. And something's got to give. If you've got a very full schedule and you've said, I'm going to meditate every day, or I'm going to take a bath 3 times a week and, close the door and nobody can come in, or whatever it is, or I'm going to go to yoga, or I'm going to go for a run, or whatever it is, the thing, or I'm just going to have time alone to do nothing, or go have a coffee. Like, if you are going to put that into your schedule, something has to come out.
Yeah.
Right? If you've got a super full schedule.
Right.
I mean, there's the one thing, if you spend an hour a day or more scrolling on social media, that's an easy transition. If you're willing to say, I'm going to give up that hour and I'm going to do X with that hour instead of scrolling.
Great idea.
Right?
Yes.
Right. So there are ways that we do take time for ourselves without sort of even realizing that that's what we're doing, and that we're making a choice to take that time for us in that particular way. You might like that. That might feel relaxing, and you might enjoy it and feel like it's great. And so, knock yourself out. If you feel like that's not the thing, that you are taking an hour for yourself, but you want to do it in a different way, then choose something else. Make a choice, right? Rather than going on automatic. So, and sometimes you need the cooperation of your partner. Sometimes you may need, depending on how old your kids are, to sit them down and say, Mommy's getting up at 7 every day, or 6 every day, or whatever time, and I'm going to be doing this for myself. And if you have any questions, you need to go to other mommy or daddy, or you need to just wait or stay in bed, whatever it is. Like, you may need to have that conversation, but you need to decide and prioritize it. Yeah. And let me tell you, what will happen is what we were talking about with the universe, which I'm actually finding is happening to me right now, and a big change that I'm making is that when you decide you are going to make a change, whether it's I'm taking a half an hour every morning, or I'm whatever, any of these things, right? The universe will throw you obstacles.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Right away. And the way I look at that is the universe is saying, oh, yeah, you want to do this thing? How serious are you? Show me. It's almost like an invitation. It's like a challenge or an invitation. Show me how serious you are. Right. And so you can say, well, I can't do it because my kids got up earlier, and so forget it, I can't do it. Or you can say, I'm doing it. You can throw me whatever obstacles you want. I'm doing this.
That's powerful.
And then the obstacles will kind of wane.
What's funny is too, like when I think it was mostly probably that fall of COVID, that first fall of COVID, when I was homeschooling and everything, around, like, even before then, I would try to do, it was even before then. It was when Gabe was pretty small. I would try to do like a morning meditation, while I'm still in bed, and I would try to do my journaling back when I was doing that. And, it was definitely before COVID, because I gave it all up around COVID, the journaling thing.
We can talk about that.
In that later. But most people are so many people are like, I need this time alone by myself. And I totally get that 100%. And 95% of the time I did do my meditation in bed by myself. But there were times when Gabe would come and crawl into bed with me and he just wanted to hang out. But the cool thing about that was, like, he knew he had to be quiet. He just wanted to be there. But he actually learned to meditate from it because I was listening to guided meditations on my phone. So he learned to do it. And then, yeah, because it was pre-COVID, because right before COVID, he was in kindergarten and he had the worst year of his life. And we really had to lean into all of those things. And so we found like the little kid meditations on the iPad, on the app that we use. And he would listen to those, but he honestly didn't like those. He found one that's like this 90-minute long, just binaural beats, and that's what he likes to fall asleep to. Like, he'll just be like, can you put the 90-minute meditation on for me? And I just put a speaker in his room and walk away. And that's like his.
I love that.
Wow.
But when people are too rigid in their things of like, this is my mommy time and my self time, like, yeah, you still have to have some sort of rule around that. They can't be like, but but you never know what will come from allowing the grace of other people being present for what you're doing, right?
Right.
So, and sometimes, because like if it's walking that you want to start doing, well, it's nice to walk by yourself sometimes, but sometimes it's not nice to walk by yourself. So, having a buddy or being like, hey, kid, come with me. Hey,
and knowing where to draw the line, right? Like, where does flexibility cross into abandoning yourself?
Right. Exactly. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And there were days that I'd be like, nobody, go away. I need this by myself. But,
right.
I'd be like, go play Legos give me 5 minutes. That's all.
Right. Well, and learning to be with yourself and be there for yourself in the midst of life happening around you is also, I mean, we can't go up to the top of a mountain and live in a cave. Like and we don't want to for most of us, right? We are in the world. I mean, I meditate often on the subway.
Yeah, me too.
People are like, how do you do that? It's like, well, if I have to create this perfect environment to be able to meditate,
it's not meditation.
I guess it is meditation. It just, I need to get to a level where I can meditate with things going on around me, because I need to be able to be in the world in that way and be able to hold on to myself with everything going on around me. So
actually, going back to our first conversation, I have practiced that in the grocery store typically, and clearly this morning I was not, because I was letting it get to me. So yeah, I totally know that element of like, you get to that level where yes, you can kind of be having a walking meditation or a whatever, and just taking in the world and observing and
that's a way of being that mindfulness of watching with curiosity everything that's going on around. Oh, this guy just like zoomed right in, and he's not paying attention. That's so interesting. He's in his own world. Oh, and this woman seems to be getting angry, and this person just seems fine with it. Wow. And with no judgment of any of it. You're just observing everything that's going on around you. That's a kind of meditation.
It is entertaining going to the grocery store. And you know what I've noticed? A lot of people are wearing their AirPods in the grocery store.
Yeah.
And I have to think, I'm like, I wonder if that's like not a defense mechanism, but that's how they deal with being out in the world. Maybe they're listening to their favorite music. Maybe they're listening to a meditation just to get through going to the grocery store. Because I know it's not a favorite thing for a lot of people.
There are days. Yeah, I think there is that element that it's a defense mechanism, but I think it's also the world is isolating. Like, people isolate themselves now. Like,
well, that's the other side of it, right? That people are putting in their ear pods, and then even when we're all together, we're not somehow interacting.
Yeah, like I was listening to something the other day where they were talking about that, like how we used to sit and watch TV as a family in some houses, like my Gen X house does. But but then there's other families now that, you know, everybody's in their own room watching their own shows so that everything's specific to them instead of learning to bend and weave to what happens in life, right?
Yeah, we're so disconnected in our own
All about just like all the things that I want and just getting what you want and feeling that way. And so whether it's your music, your shows, your whatever, but yeah, also putting the headphones on and just like, this is my world.
Right. Which, I mean, I remember going up to my room, closing the door, turning the music on really loud, lying on the floor in the dark and listening. Like sometimes you need that, right?
You need that. Yeah.
But there's a place for it, right? And there's a place for interacting with people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You know what? Sometimes I go to the store and I need to be like in the zone, but sometimes, I don't know if you've ever done this, like you've been in the store and you see, typically it's another woman, right? And she's got beautiful, like colored hair. Like I saw this woman, she had like the mermaid colors in her hair. And I was just like, and I just went up to her. I said, I love your hair. She's like, oh, thank you. So like that made her day. And we had a little bit of interaction. I felt connected. We were at the mall a couple weeks ago. And she's probably maybe early 20s. Like she just was like dressed up as like anime kind of thing. And I was like, that is just so amazing. How fun. And I just went up to her and I said, how fun is your outfit? And she just lit up because you could tell she was kind of walking around and she was kind of not confident in what she was wearing. And I'm like, no, girl, go you. Kind of
and I think women do that for each other, right? At best, women are always, I love that skirt. You look amazing. You know, they're really they can be, I feel like we're getting away a little bit from what I remember in the 80s of that like super competitiveness between women and stepping over each other to get, like, I just don't see that as much anymore. I really see women helping and encouraging and talking to each other and which is so nice. Yeah.
Lift each other up. Definitely. I think it's because the shoulder pads are no longer here from the 80s.
Oh, those shoulder pads.
Good Lord. What were we thinking?
I don't know. And the fact that some of that 80s style has come back, I'm a little bit like, we got rid of this in the 80s. At the end of the 80s, this went away. This is actually not something to bring back.
So fun fact, shoulder pads came about in the 1930s, 40s. So it wasn't an 80s thing. It had actually happened before.
It just got like super
Well, it got really big in the 80s. They were selling T-shirts with shoulder pads in them.
I had a T-shirt with shoulder pads in it. Oh my God.
I mean, shoulder pads obviously existed in jackets and right.
But T-shirts, oh Lord have mercy. And mine was bedazzled. Like it had.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
I find that picture. Anyway, sorry. This is what
with the hair out to here. And,
I still have the hair out to here.
Well, you know, it's interesting talking about the compliments because I think it's so important for people to give each other compliments.
Yes.
And it should be people, not just women.
Well,
but
true.
There is this, and I get it. There's a fine line between a compliment from a man and a sketchy.
It's tricky when a man does it, right?
But
I
used to work with this older gentleman who was one of the sweetest humans, and he would always pay. He and I got on very well, and he would pay a nice compliment, if your hair looked good or whatever, he would pay a nice compliment. And it makes you feel good when someone notices that you've got your shit together instead of there were days bad job where I just went in and had my sweatshirt hood on and was like, oh God, just get through the day. It was not a great place for me at times. And so when, to get a kind word or something is important. And, I think it's important to teach our boys to be able to give a compliment that's not creepy or to hold the door open and not be like, you asshole,
Right. Well, I
Yeah.
kind of think, I mean, it's tricky, right? Because it can be so loaded because of the
Mhm.
power differential between men and women, and we
Right.
don't know what women have been through. So it can be really tricky for a man to give a woman a compliment. And yes, like
Mhm.
to teach our boys to say something to a
Mhm.
woman in a way that's not creepy and maybe isn't about necessarily about what they look like, right?
Yeah,
Maybe is
exactly.
Yeah.
something
Like
else.
just like,
But
oh,
what about
that's
men?
cool that you did that or whatever, you know.
Right. But
Yeah.
what about men treating each other that way?
Exactly.
You know?
That's it. Yeah.
Well, and it's funny because I
Yeah.
see some men do, and then of course there are the ones that don't, you know. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
like everyone, right?
Mhm.
But it is an interesting, yeah, it is sort of, yeah, it's an interesting concept because in this world that we live in, it is so loaded.
Mhm.
Some
It
women will
is.
appreciate it, and some women really will not appreciate it.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. I always tend to err in the side of love. So
Mhm.
if I see someone, I'm going to smile at them. That's
Yeah.
just, and they can take it or leave it. I'm going to
Mhm.
hold the door open for anybody.
Me too.
Exactly.
I don't care,
Mhm.
and that's what I'm putting out there. They can decide to take it and receive it however they want. Right.
Mhm.
That's
Right.
not my business.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's ultimately what it is. It's just, yeah, because a smile can go a long way. It doesn't have to
Mhm.
be that full on compliment that, like, oh, you look so cool, whatever.
Yeah.
And generally, the intention that you have will be transmitted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, the tricky part of that is that do you have enough self-awareness to understand what your intention truly is?
Mm-hmm.
And if
So,
there's this thing that I always take a little bit of issue with that people who work with grief talk about a lot, like never give somebody who's grieving a tissue
Yeah.
because
I have a
it
hard time
makes them, I have a really hard time with that one. But I do understand that if your intention is, I want to make you stop crying because I'm so
Right.
uncomfortable, so here's the tissue, then that will get transmitted.
Mm-hmm.
If that's not your intention, then that's not going to get
yeah.
transmitted. But if you don't actually understand what you're feeling about the fact that this person is crying in front of you, then your subconscious intention may get transmitted. So
Mm-hmm.
I kind of see both sides, but
Huh.
I'm withholding a tissue from somebody who's like
Give them
blubbering,
a
like is
tissue.
like
Exactly.
seems a
I
little
totally agree.
If they're like doing this and they're doing this,
Yeah,
I'm like, would you
exactly.
like a tissue?
right.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
would like
obviously, if
someone to
you're in
offer
the
me
line
tissue.
of work where you meet with people who are going through grief,
Yeah.
then you just make sure that the tissues are easily accessible, and then you don't have to worry
Exactly.
about.
They're in an obvious
There's
But
spot.
no.
but yeah.
Oh gosh, that's so funny. Well, I have a tissue in front of me because I had a runny nose earlier, so I'm like,
Mhm.
Well,
okay,
you weren't crying.
please stop before the podcast. It did. Anyway, okay. Let's see what else. What else can we talk about, Steph?
Oh, I don't know. Tell us more about how you got into coaching.
Yes.
What led you to the path you're on?
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah, well, I started coaching even before I went through my own big changes, my own big midlife changes. And I was really working with people mostly around health. And then that shifted. And what I went through is I was getting divorced. That's like big enough, right? Like that's a big,
That's big enough. Yeah.
and I was in my mid 40s. So like the menopause thing was happening. I was getting divorced. That's big enough to enough to deal with. But
Yeah.
as I was getting divorced, or just before we separated, I found out that my husband's business had completely tanked, and there was like zero in his
Ooh.
business bank account, and he had hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. So now the bottom has fallen out of our finances because like I'm earning, but I'm not earning enough to support us all, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that I would stay in our apartment with my kids.
Yeah.
But now we had to sell our apartment.
Oh boy.
So then I had to move. I had to uproot my children. I had to look for additional work. Um, plus the divorce, plus all the physical, like all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a really terrifying time.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, wondering how I was going to put food on the table for my kids and just navigating all of it.
Right.
And I kind of wished I had a guide through it all, like, wow, wouldn't that have been nice?
Mhm.
And so now I kind of want to be the guide. Like now
The
I'm just
guide.
like, I want to help people who are going through these kinds of difficult
Yeah.
transitions, because so that's sort of how I came to it. I've always been the kind of person, and you may also, that like strangers just come up to you. Used to just
Yes.
come up to me and tell me their stories. And sometimes I was a little like,
Why? Why are you talking to
do you think
me?
I'm somebody else? Or are you talking to the person behind? Like, but it was always no. They wanted to talk to me, and I don't know. So it's taken me a good part of my life to come to this place where I'm like, okay, well, that's I guess part of my superpower. Like
You're
people
that
trust me and they
person.
want to talk to me. So
Yeah.
great. I'm just going to embrace it,
Oh,
and it feels really right. Like it just feels like a good fit for me. Yeah.
I can see that. You are the guide on the side.
The guide on the side. I
Really
like
are.
it.
That's not mine, by the way.
Oh, it's not?
No, it's not. It's not
Well,
at
you
all.
can claim it. I mean, I've never heard it. That's great.
But really, and I can see how you going through all this stuff and you navigated it yourself, and now you're helping others, and people were naturally coming up to you anyway. That is your superpower, and it's your aura, it's your energy, right?
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
That they're attracted to, right? They might not be able to put their finger on it, but that's what it is.
Or why, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. What a conversation. What a conversation. This is like top 10, top 5. You didn't have Deborah come back.
I'd love it. I would love it.
That's
Well,
awesome.
you guys are so easy to talk to.
Well, likewise.
Thank you.
All of excuse me, all of Deborah's contact information is going to be in the show notes, so you'll have many ways to reach out and connect with her. Thank you, Deborah, for being our guest.
Thank you so much for having me. This was lovely. Really nice to chat with you.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. See you next time.
See you next time.